Earlier, I spoke to Brendan Mulvaney. He's a lieutenant colonel with the U.S. Marines, and I asked him whether the U.S. freedom of navigation exercises would continue in light of the arbitration result.
They will certainly continue. I mean, that's the one thing I could say with a fair amount of certainty that they're going to continue. They've been going at a fairly decent, steady pace, picked up a little bit from a couple years ago. Nothing too excessive at this point. But they're definitely going to continue. And keep in mind, we do freedom of navigation operations throughout the world. Whether or not we do more of them or where they sail, I think will be largely in response to how some of the other actors in the region react to the ruling.
What happens then if the Philippines calls on the United States for help in enforcing this tribunal result? Do you think that the United States would even get involved in that regard?
They're a treaty ally. We have a strong treaty relationship with them and a commitment to them. We will honor those commitments. How we do that and the time in which we do that, I think, is a matter of debate. And again, we'll just have to see how events unfold. I certainly don't think the Philippines is going to come over right away and say, hey, we need you to evict the Chinese from the entire South China Sea. I don't think that's going to happen.
Or even at all, because this is a new administration.
Well, and that's the other thing. So the Philippines, since they brought the case, they have a new administration, a new president who seems very willing to discuss with China. Maybe this gives him a little more credibility at home to be able to go and do bilateral negotiations with China, which of course is what both countries have stated they wanted. So hopefully, there is certainly an opportunity there. There could be some challenges, but hopefully an opportunity that both sides seize on. Now, we would like to play a constructive role. I'm sure if the parties involved would like us to be an arbitrator or mediator, we would love to help facilitate that, but we don't need to be involved. And again, we just want all the parties to come to some sort of accommodation and peaceful resolution, or at least establish a path toward resolution.
China has brought up the topic of an air defense identification zone over the South China Sea following this result. What is your take on that?
So an air defense identification zone is certainly a possibility for them to announce. The question is what countries will follow it and to what extent. I think the use of one now that there are no EEZ claims because of the tribunal's decision probably makes it a little less likely that the countries in the region would abide by that. The one off its coast on the East China Sea, a little more likely because it does border China. There are a lot of flights that use that to go in and out of China, not so much made in the South China Sea. So they could certainly declare one. They will probably get a strong reaction from certainly the neighboring countries and probably the United States, and I would expect some European nations as well.
And while this has all been taking place, China, the United States, several other countries have been participating in the 2016 RIMPAC exercises. We see all this stuff happening politically, all the back and forth, but on the ground, on the sea, you see militaries working together. They're working together diplomatically. What does that do for the relationship between these countries? And you have a different kind of relationship on the side here.
Well, and I think that's, well, to be honest, I think the South China Sea is the one on the side, and the other one is the overall relationship. The state of the relationship is good. We have more commonalities and common interests, I think, than we have differences. South China Sea is obviously a contentious thing where we have different interpretations. Now the court has ruled and there's one international interpretation for that. But I think the overall relationship is very good, which is why RIMPAC continues to go forward. We've done more training and more exercise with China, had a lot more interaction in the last several years. And this is something that has been slow in coming, but I've been very happy to see over the course of the years, ever since I moved to China in 2002, we've been slowly building year on year. And so this is an indication that the overall relationship is good.